Welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Savant Video. This episode I'm going to be doing a brief review on a comic book television show that's been around for a little while now, but you don't hear much about anymore. You don't really hear a lot of comics fans talking about it. You don't see a lot of posts on social media, people talking about or being excited for the show. I think it rejuvenated itself last year for a little bit, and then it kind of tapered off towards the end of the television season last year, and not too many people, because it kind of got preempted by the Inhumans. Not too much hoopla has been spread about the show since it came back on air the beginning of this year, or the end of last year in December, if I remember correctly, which is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now we're in season 5 of the show. It had a hard time getting support from ABC from keeping the show on the air. They've moved it around to multiple time slots. They've moved it to a later time slot. It used to come on at 8. They moved it to 9. With last season, which was somewhat understandable because they brought Ghost Rider in. It was a lot of darker, mature themes, so it wasn't quite for little kids. So I kind of understood why they moved it to a later time slot, but I think effectively, overall, it hurt the show more than it helped, because it's competing against those other hour-long dramas. So it kind of made it stiff competition, and I think the numbers were down. And even at one point, it was rumored that ABC had canceled Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but Disney, being the owners of ABC, kind of came in and intervened and insisted that they bring Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. back for another season. This season started off a little slow. I watched the first 9 episodes, which were released to date. And I have to say, it started off a little slow, especially in comparison to some of the previous seasons. I've been on board with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. since the very first season. The first season was hard to get through, especially the first half of the first season was kind of rough. But I do have to say, I've stuck with the show because it just has, each season it has constantly got better and better. I think last year's season was the pinnacle for the show. It's going to be hard to top it with this season. They left on a big cliffhanger where you saw Coulson, opening up this window, and then you see that the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are in space. And it's been hard trying to, wrap my head around them, just going to outer space. But they've done some good things with it. It's kind of been like a mystery, and they've kind of worked backwards. And as the episodes went on, they've really start fleshing it out and putting a good story behind it, tying in the previous seasons and some of the world-saving things they did, how those repercussions of those decisions and those choices they made kind of came back to, kind of bite them in the butt. There's always repercussions for your actions. So I like how it paid off. If you were a fan of the previous seasons, little things that they did, choices they made, came back and play a big part in what happened, and characters from previous seasons came back in major ways, or major supporting characters, and I like that. Again, it started rough around the edges, and I think after episode 2 or 3, I was kind of on the fence on, am I going to keep watching it? I don't necessarily know where this is going. My interest was kind of waning in it, and then I think I watched the 4th episode, and it finally brought everything back together, and I've been hooked back on it since. I just binge watched. I think the last one I had watched was episode 4. With the holidays and everything, I had fallen behind, and I binge watched the last 5 episodes, and it has me back in. Everything really pops and ties in nicely. And I have to say, the thing that was the issue with the first season for a lot of people were the only person we really knew was Agent Phil Coulson from the early MCU and his cameo appearances in the different movies. But they've grown, the cast has grown over the years. They've really fleshed out all the individual characters, and they really came into their own. Excuse me. And I would have to say their cast has really become the strong point of the of the show over the years. As like I said, as they chose to develop them more and more, I think it has really become the real strong point of the series and what keeps people, interested, because they've, relationships have formed. Characters that you once thought one way about have drastically changed since the beginning of the series, which I love. And I'm just going to go over some of the cast. We have Ming-Na Wen as Melinda May. She's phenomenal. It's a shame that this is a comic book show, and due to it being a comic book, it was an original show, but it's based on comic book lore, that these stars don't get nominated for like Golden Globes or Emmys or TV related. It's a shame. She's been extremely strong the past 2 seasons. They've really fleshed out her backstory. She was a mysterious character, kind of like how Wolverine normally is in the Marvel universe. In the comics, she had a very mysterious past. They've really done a great job over the past couple of years, really making her a central character and really putting some meat on her bones and making her a fully realized 3-dimensional character. Of course, we have Chloe Bennett, which plays Daisy Johnson. I was really reluctant seeing her kind of transform from a computer hacker, where she started in the very first episodes, to becoming a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, to becoming this all-around female action hero. But she's done it well. She's worked at it. She's really gotten into it and really put the effort in. You could tell in her scenes and her action scenes and stuff, that's really her. It's not so many, it's not so heavy stunt doubles and things of that nature. She's really put the work in over the years, over the seasons, and really has fully embraced that heroine role. We have Elizabeth Henstridge as Jenna Simmons. Again, with her, they've evolved her character. She's become really full featured. We have Clark Gregg as Paul Coulson, which he's not so much of a central character. He's an important character, and one of the main pieces of this current storyline has a lot to play in with him. I don't know for sure if ABC is going to pick this up again, but we do know that Disney's streaming service is right on the horizon. So I'm kind of feeling, since Disney wanted to keep this show alive, it's for a reason. And I have a feeling if it keeps performing at least decently on ABC, it might get renewed for one more season, or it might go off of ABC at the end of this season and pick back up on the streaming service. I think they're still fully invested in this show, kind of the direction they're going. You can tell they put more money in the budget this year doing the whole outer space thing. So they wouldn't do that if it was a show that they just wanted to turn around and cancel. So I think Disney's fully in on trying to make Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a long running show. And I could keep watching this show. Like I said, it keeps improving, and they keep making the cast keeps bringing me back, even if the story, even with this story was kind of slow in the beginning. When they brought certain cast members in and you start seeing it fit together, I immediately locked in and wanted to see where it was going. So that is, like I said, their strongest suit. The next person, Ian D. K-Stecker, he plays Leo Fitz. He was the unlitigated all-star of the show last season. It's a shame he didn't get nominated for any Emmys. His performance on this show was phenomenal. We got to see him play a dark version of himself. That was just terrifying. He was the most meek of all the characters in the original cast, and they really took it to a dark place, and it was awesome. He really committed and pulled it off, and he became a totally frightening villain in the show, and seeing him kind of fight his way back now to redeem himself, because after he realized everything he did and what damage he caused, he's on a path of redemption, which I really enjoy. Then we have Henry Simmons as Mac McKenzie. They added him on, I think, somewhere in season 2 or early season 3. He's been a solid addition to the cast, and they spent a lot of time last year, at the tail end of last season, fleshing out his kind of backstory more. And they have him in a relationship with Natalia Cordova Buckley. She plays Elena Yo-Yo Rodriguez. She became a full cast member going into this season. They've been using her more and more, and I love her character. She's part of Daisy's Secret Warriors group that she pieced together. I want to say in this is season 6. Maybe this is, hold on. This is season 5. Yeah, so I think Yo-Yo got brought on somewhere in season 3, beginning of season 3. Again, they added her as a regular cast member. She was doing more and more appearances. They had her and Mac enter into a relationship. And they're really going in this season. They explored her and Mac's relationship last season. Now they're going into some of her backstory more, and the repercussions of some of the events that happened last season. I don't want to spoil that stuff. It's really worth watching. And like I said, I think season 4 last season with Ghost Rider, that season was overall from beginning to end probably the strongest season of the show to date. So it's definitely worth seeing. So like if you haven't watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in a long time, it's worth, you can go on Netflix, watch the previous season. Season 1 is going to be the toughest one to get through, at least the first half of it. It goes from there, and and it constantly improves. I don't know if it's binge worthy, like just to sit there. You're gonna need a break between these because these are, there's a lot of episodes in there, but it's worth checking out. In bits and pieces of it, even though they're not closely related, and we probably will never see any of these characters in a Marvel MCU movie, which I think is a crime. But I know it was fallout between the guy that was heading the TV division and Kevin Feige, and they kind of separated them. And because of that fallout, I think maybe when the show was first conceived that it was going to be some crossover, but since they kept butting heads about everything, I never see it happening. But I would love to see Quake. I would love to see Daisy. I would love to see Melinda May pop up with Coulson in the MCU. This is as a brief cameo. I would love it, but I don't ever foresee it happening, which I think is totally a wasted opportunity. But excuse me. But they have interacted with characters in the Marvel MCU. We've seen Nick Fury on the show. We've seen Lady Sif on the show. So we've seen characters from the MCU cross over to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. over the years. So it'll be interesting to see how it all eventually pans out. But like I said, I have nothing but the utmost respect for this show. They've, the producers, the writers, the showrunners have really kept this show interesting and relevant for the people that watch it. But I just think it's funny that Disney owns ABC, and I just think it's the worst network for a superhero show. I just think is so heavily counter programming to everything else that ABC kind of puts out that it gets disregarded, where CW, most of their whole lineup is built off of the DC properties, so they're spotlighted there, where I feel like ABC kind of buries their superhero shows. That's why Agent Carter didn't do well on the show, and it's a shame because that was a great fun show, something different, and I like that show. And I didn't like period pieces, but I love that show. It was just so well done. And it was off the beaten path. It was something refreshing that the other superhero shows weren't doing, and it wasn't really, supported. So I'm hoping with the Disney streaming service that we might see, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. continue on, maybe see Agent Carter come back, because I feel like they'll have a Marvel section on that Disney streaming service that if you love that stuff, you'll have access to it. But that's all in my review. Like I said, it's very strong story. It starts a little slow for this season, but after about episode 4, it picks up in episode 9. Like I said, I've watched up to episode 9. I think that was the most recent one. So the 10th episode doesn't come out till, the show comes out on Friday night. So episode 10 will be out shortly. So you have time to catch up. If you, where I catch up is just via, like, if you have a DVR service on demand, you can go back and watch it through that, or you can go download, if you got any cable provider, you can download, like if you have a streaming service, streaming box like a Apple TV or a Roku, you can go download the Disney app. You just would log in with your cable credentials, and you can go in and watch all the previous episodes and catch up on this season. And again, in all the previous seasons, you pretty much, as far as I know, you can find all the previous Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. seasons on Netflix. So again, worth giving a try. Hope you guys check it out and enjoy it. That's all I have for you this week, and I'll see you guys next time. Oh, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. The links will be down below. Check out my website, comicbooksavant.com. I have more content. I have links to the audio podcast there. It's over 366 podcast episodes have been released to date. You can find the playlist here on the YouTube channel, just Comic Book Savant podcast. It's a playlist. The last 66 or some episodes are posted here, so you can listen to them here. But if you want to see any other content that I've created in relation to the Comic Book Savant channel, you can find it at comicbooksavant.com. Everything that I post via the audio podcast, the video, will be found there on the website. All the videos related to the channel, of course, are here on YouTube, with the last about 66 episodes of the podcast also here in a playlist, so you can check that out. So like, share, subscribe it. If you know anyone that loves comics and love comics talk, hey, shoot them a link over to the YouTube channel. Tell them to like and subscribe and share the content. I appreciate all you guys' support, and I'll see you next time. Take care.